Jesus worked only 3 years and changed the world. You've been working how long? Listen, we all have the same 24 hours, same time, same opportunity. But here's the question: why do some people seem busy, exhausted, overwhelmed, barely keeping their head above water, while others move forward with peace, hit their goals, and succeed without burning out? What's the difference? Most people, they're running on empty, working hard, accomplishing little, busy but not productive, moving fast but going nowhere. There's a better way. Jesus had 3 years of public ministry. 3 years. No social media. No massive team. Just dusty roads and small villages. And he changed everything. 2,000 years later, his words still echo. His life still transforms billions. His secret? He didn't do more. He did everything with divine purpose and clarity. And you can do the same. Today, we're unpacking 7 productivity habits straight from Jesus' life. Because real productivity isn't about doing more. It's about aligning your actions with God's will. Let's dive in. Habit number 1, seek alignment before action. Mark 1:35. Very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place. Where he prayed, Jesus started his day in prayer. Not checking messages, not scrolling, not reacting, praying. Why? Because clarity comes before action. Prayer was his map before the journey, his alignment before the work. Most of us wake up and immediately react. Phone, notifications, overwhelm. We confuse busy with productive. Jesus never lived that way. He paused. He listened. He aligned. And because of that, he never wasted a moment on things that didn't matter. Here's the truth. You can be incredibly busy and incredibly unproductive at the same time. You can fill your calendar and still miss your calling. But when you start your day seeking God first, everything changes. You stop reacting. Start responding. Stop being scattered. Start being focused. The practice: give God the first 10 minutes of your day. Silence. Prayer. Focus. Ask him what matters most today. Before you move your hands, align your heart. Habit number 2, protect your focus. Luke 4:43. After healing people in one town, crowds wanted Jesus to stay. More miracles. More teaching, more time. And Jesus said no. I must proclaim the good news to the other towns also, because that is why I was sent. Jesus had clarity about his mission. He knew what he was called to do, and what he wasn't called to do. He didn't try to please everyone, didn't chase every opportunity. He protected his focus. Most of us, terrible at this. We say yes when we should say no, let other people's emergencies become our priorities. Fill our schedules with good things and miss the best things. Here's the hard truth. Activity is not the same as purpose. There's a principle called the 80-20 rule. 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. Spiritually, 80% of your impact will come from 20% of what you could be doing. Question: do you know what that 20% is? Jesus did. That's why he said no to good things, so he could focus on the best things. The practice: look at your calendar this week. Ask yourself, is this moving me toward what God called me to do? Or is it just keeping me busy? If it's not advancing your purpose, let it go. Don't let urgency steal what God called you to do. Habit number 3, empower others with purpose. Luke 9, verses 1 and 2, Jesus called the 12 together, gave them power and authority to drive out demons and cure diseases, and sent them out to proclaim the kingdom of God. Jesus didn't do everything alone. He multiplied himself through others. He could have kept control, done it all himself, but he didn't. Why? Because true leadership isn't about control. It's about multiplication. How many of us are exhausted because we're trying to do everything ourselves? We don't delegate, don't teach, don't trust others, and so we become the bottleneck. We work harder, but the impact never grows. Here's what Jesus shows us. When you empower someone else, you don't lose impact. You multiply it. Think about the 12 disciples. Fishermen, tax collectors, regular people. But Jesus saw their potential, invested in them, trusted them, sent them out. And because of that, the message didn't die when Jesus left. It exploded. Those 12 men turned the world upside down. The practice: identify one person this week you can teach, inspire, or guide. Pour into them. Because when you empower others with purpose, you transform your mission into a legacy. True leaders don't control. They multiply. Hey, if this is clicking for you, if you're seeing how Jesus approached productivity differently, do me a favor and hit that like button right now. It helps more people discover these truths. Habit number 4, rest as a form of faith. Mark 6:31. After the disciples had been out ministering and were exhausted, Jesus said, "Come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest." He didn't say, push through, didn't say, you can rest when you're dead. Didn't say, there's too much work to do. He said rest. Why? Because rest is not weakness. Rest is faith. When you rest, you're declaring that you trust God to keep working even when you stop. When you rest, you're acknowledging the mission doesn't depend entirely on you. When you rest, you're choosing to believe that God is in control, not your effort. Think about it. God himself rested on the 7th day, not because he was tired, but because rest is built into the rhythm of creation. Work and rest. Action and reflection. It's a divine pattern, but we've broken that pattern. We treat rest like an inconvenience. Wear exhaustion like a badge of honor. Glorify burnout and call it dedication. And then we wonder why we're irritable, anxious, unproductive, and empty. Here's the truth: without rest, even the smallest tasks become unbearable. Without rest, your perspective gets distorted. You lose clarity. Make bad decisions. Snap at people you love. Rest isn't optional. It's essential. Jesus made time to rest. He withdrew to quiet places. He slept. He prioritized solitude and silence. And because he rested well, he served well. The practice: stop treating rest like something you earn. Start treating it like something God commands. Put rest on your calendar. Protect it. Honor it. Treat it as sacred. Take a Sabbath. Turn off your phone. Step away from work. Spend time with people you love. And when guilt tries to creep in, remind yourself, rest isn't laziness. It's trust in God's timing. Habit number 5, be present with intention. John chapter 4. Jesus sits by a well and talks to one woman, a Samaritan woman, culturally scandalous, socially unacceptable. But Jesus didn't rush past her, didn't multitask, didn't check his watch. He was fully present. And in that one conversation, he changed her life forever. She went back to her town and brought the entire community to Jesus. One moment of presence led to an entire village encountering God. Here's what we miss: productivity isn't just about how many tasks you complete. It's about the impact you make. And impact doesn't come from speed. It comes from presence. Think about your own life. How many conversations have you had where you were physically there but mentally somewhere else? Nodding along while thinking about your to-do list. With your kids but thinking about work. With your spouse but distracted by your phone. We've become experts at being everywhere and nowhere at the same time. And people can feel it. They know when you're not really there. Jesus shows us a different way. Every conversation was an opportunity. Every moment was sacred. Every interaction mattered. When he spoke to the woman at the well, he wasn't just killing time. He was on mission, present with intention. That's the key. Intentional presence. Not just being physically there, being emotionally available, mentally engaged, spiritually attuned, looking people in the eyes, listening without planning your response, asking real questions. The practice, next time you're with someone, be fully there. Put your phone away, not face down on the table. Away. Look at them. Listen to them. Make them feel like they're the most important person in the world at that moment. Because in that moment, they are. Presence is the purest form of love. Habit number 6, live light, think deep. Matthew 8:20. Jesus said, "Foxes have dens and birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head." Jesus didn't have a home, didn't accumulate possessions, didn't own much. He lived light. Now, this isn't about poverty. This is about clarity. Jesus lived simply because he understood that accumulation creates distraction. The more you have, the more you have to manage. The more you own, the more owns you. The more you accumulate, the more mental energy you spend maintaining it all. And that's energy you could be spending on your mission. Think about your life. How much of your time and mental space is consumed by things that don't actually matter? Clutter in your home, subscriptions you don't use, commitments that drain you, apps on your phone, browser tabs, unread emails. All of that is noise, and noise creates mental fog. Simplicity isn't about having less for the sake of having less. It's about removing distractions so you can focus on what matters. Every time you say no to an excess, you're saying yes to your purpose. Every time you clear the clutter, you're making room for clarity. Jesus lived light so he could think deep. He wasn't distracted by possessions, status, or comfort. He was laser focused on the mission. The practice: simplify. Start with your space. Look around. What's there that doesn't serve a purpose? Get rid of it. Then your schedule. What commitments are you carrying that you don't need to carry? Let them go. Finally, your mind. What thoughts are you rehearsing that aren't helping you? What worries are stealing your peace? Give them to God. Simplicity isn't lack. It's freedom. When you live light, you think clearly. When you think clearly, you act purposefully. Habit number 7, work as worship. John 4:34. Jesus says, "My food is to do the will of him who sent me and to finish his work, my food." Jesus wasn't talking about bread. He was talking about something deeper. Doing the will of God was what sustained him, energized him, gave him life. Work, for Jesus, wasn't a burden. It was worship. Now, I know that might sound strange, because for most of us, work feels like the opposite of worship. Work is stress. Deadlines, emails, meetings, politics. We work because we have to, not because we want to. For the paycheck, not for the purpose. But what if you could change that? What if you could transform the way you see your work so that even the most mundane task becomes an act of worship? That's what Jesus did. He didn't separate the sacred from the secular. Everything he did was infused with purpose. Every conversation, every miracle, every moment. He worked as worship. And you can do the same. Doesn't matter if you're a teacher, a nurse, a business owner, a stay-at-home parent, or a student. Doesn't matter if your work feels small. When you connect your work to something eternal, everything changes. Think about it. What's the difference between someone who works for recognition and someone who works for purpose? The person working for recognition burns out quickly. Because recognition is fleeting. Praise fades. Promotions don't satisfy. But the person working for purpose, different fuel, resilience, energy that doesn't depend on external validation. They're not working to impress people. They're working to honor God. And that changes everything. When you see your work as an expression of faith, even the hardest days become meaningful. Changing diapers, you're shaping a soul. Serving customers, you're showing kindness. Writing code or crunching numbers, you're stewarding the gifts God gave you. Colossians 3:23, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters, whatever you do. Not just ministry, not just the spiritual stuff. Whatever you do. That email, do it as worship. That presentation, worship. That difficult conversation, worship. That project no one will notice, worship. Because God sees, God knows. The practice, before you start working tomorrow, pause and pray. God, I offer this work to you. Help me do it with excellence, not for applause, but for your glory. Let my work be an expression of my faith, then work with intention. Excellence. Joy. Not because you have to, because you get to. When you work as worship, you're not just building a career. You're building a legacy. You're not just getting through the day. You're living with eternal purpose. So let's bring it all together. 7 productivity habits we learn from Jesus. 1. Seek alignment before action. Start your day with God. Align your heart before you move your hands. 2. Protect your focus. Know your mission. Say no to everything that doesn't serve it. 3. Empower others with purpose. Multiply your impact by investing in people. 4. Rest is a form of faith. Trust God to keep working even when you stop. 5. Be present with intention. Every conversation is an opportunity. Presence is love. 6. Live light. Think deep. Simplify your life to focus on what matters. 7. Work as worship. Connect every task to something eternal. Here's what I want you to understand. Jesus didn't waste his life. He didn't spend his days reacting to other people's agendas. Didn't fill his time with distractions. Didn't chase success or approval or comfort. Every moment he lived had eternal meaning. And that's the invitation he's extending to you today. You don't have to live scattered, exhausted, overwhelmed by busyness, and emptied of purpose. You can live the way Jesus lived. Work the way Jesus worked. Make every day count for something that lasts forever. But it starts with a choice. Choosing purpose over pressure. Mission over motion. Impact over activity. So here's my challenge. Which one of these 7 habits are you going to start with today? Maybe it's waking up earlier to pray. Maybe it's saying no to something that's been draining you. Maybe it's empowering someone. Maybe it's finally resting. Whatever it is, don't just listen and move on. Don't let this be another video that makes you feel good for a moment and then fades. Take action. Choose one habit. Commit to it for the next 7 days. And watch what God does. Because when you live with divine productivity, when you align your actions with God's will, your life doesn't just get busier. It gets fuller, richer, more meaningful. You stop wondering if you're making a difference. You start seeing the impact. You stop feeling exhausted and empty. You start feeling energized and alive. You stop chasing success and start walking in purpose. And at the end of your life, when you look back, you won't just see a list of accomplishments. You'll see a legacy of love, faith, and eternal impact. Because Jesus didn't waste his life. Every moment had eternal meaning. And when you live with divine productivity, so will yours. If this message spoke to you today, do me 3 favors. First, smash that like button. It helps this video reach more people who need to hear this. Second, subscribe and turn on notifications. We're building a community of people who want to live with purpose, not just productivity. Don't miss a single video. And third, drop a comment below. Tell me which of these 7 habits resonated with you most. Which one are you committing to this week? Let's encourage each other. Grow together. Point each other back to Jesus. So drop that comment. Share your thoughts. Let's start a conversation. Remember, Jesus didn't waste his life. Every moment had eternal meaning. When you live with divine productivity, so will yours. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. God bless you.